All right, and we're live. Final try. We're going to get our guest on today. Coming at you live from Nashville. I'm in town for Russell Brunson's Funnel Hacking Live. I got a ticket at the last minute from my boy Mike Sjogren, and this is going to be a great event. I'm super stoked to hang out with some of my buddies here. Uh-oh. So I see I have... Yeah, Luke, I got nothing, bro. I see your comment. But I can't find you as a guest. All right, hold on. Try it now. Can you request to be on it? There it is. It's gonna work?
All right.
We did it.
We finally have this.
Jeez. All right. Let me do a quick introduction here. So I met Luke at Date with Destiny in 2016, and there was this young guy, and he was just running this room, right? It's when they had 2 rooms back then. And your energy and your certainty, it made a big impact on me, and I loved hanging out with you that week. And then we got to know each other a little better at Life and Wealth Mastery in San Diego about a year and a half ago. And what really kind of stood out to me was you were in the back of the room taking more notes than anybody at the event, and you had been to that event, and you were working it, right? And more than anyone. And I said, we kind of had a discussion about your drive for personal development, and that really stood out to me. So that's part of the reason I brought you here. You're a speaker, you're an author, you're doing some amazing stuff. So I kind of wanted to share your personal development journey with the world.
Well, thank you so much, Nick. It's an honor to be on here, and like you said, we clicked right away. And yeah, I believe, study, practice, teach, as Jim Rohn used to say, right? And, you're like, man, you're taking notes like mad. And if I'm going to give my time to something, I'm going to absorb everything I can from it. So, yeah, even though I teach the program, anytime I attend a program, it's like the very first time, and you take notes like it's your very first time.
Well, and it's no secret. That's what's probably contributed to a lot of your success. So I remember you telling me that you started really young in personal development, right? You got the tapes, the CDs. Talk to me about kind of what lit that fire and how you got started studying personal development.
Well, I've always had a drive, but then I remember when I was 17, I came across Personal Power. And, I came across it at a garage sale, actually. And it was like all brand new. Nobody had really used it or listened to it at all. And I just started listening to it, and I'm like, wow, this just resonates with me so much. So I just kept listening to it over and over and over, and I just kept buying more books, more audios. I had every book and audio I think Tony's ever created, and would just listen every day. I was like, why wouldn't somebody want to listen to this every day? It just lights you on fire.
It does.
Gets you going, and from that day forward, it's pretty much been 30 to 60 minutes a day minimum since I was 17, and many days of immersion where you go 5 or 6 hours or go to a weekend event or whatever. But for almost 12, 13 years, I had the story of what would I need to go to a live event? What kind of crazy person to spend $1,000? I remember I was speaking to a group of about 250 people at a chamber event, and 50 of them stayed after, and they go, have you ever heard of Tony Robbins? You sound a little bit like Tony Robbins. And I was like, yeah, I listen to Tony all the time, and Jim Rohn, Zig Ziglar, and Les Brown, and all the greats. And they go, have you ever gone to an event? I said, well, what kind of crazy person spent thousands of dollars? Just listen to the audio, go to work, and then repeat.
Yep.
And the next day, it's funny how things work. God sends you messages throughout your life, and the next day in the mail, I get this huge postcard with this huge head on it. And I'm like, I look up, I'm like, okay, I get a God, and went inside, dialed the 800 number, and went to my first UPW. And it took about 5 minutes of being there going, what kind of idiot waits a decade to go see his mentor that he listens to every day? And ever since that day, I've been fully immersed in the culture of the live events, and never stopped.
Yeah, that's amazing. And UPW was a big transition for me as well. It was kind of like I had all that knowledge in my conscious mind, and all of a sudden you get to that event and you hit that level of energy, and it all goes into your limbic system, and you embrace it and you experience it. And then everything shifts like instantly, and you everything that you learned is like your life now, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, all right. So you were also a college athlete, a wrestler, just like me. So we definitely bonded over that and had that in common. Talk to me a little bit about your journey as a competitor and the things you learned as an athlete.
Yeah. I played every sport when I was a kid, right? Up until 8th grade. I played everything and they'd let you play. And then in 8th grade, they made you start choosing, right? My dad saw my vertical and he's like, all right, this basketball stuff will take care of itself.
Well, you're like what, 6'3", 250 pounds of solid muscle.
And so wrestling is really the one that shaped me. I played, my other main sports were baseball and football, but there's something about wrestling, being that it was still a team sport, but you were individually accountable for what you were going to contribute to that team. And so many lessons, and so many people always said, oh, but the weight cutting, and really that gave me the journey to really build my mentality. I dropped from about 243 down to 190, and people would go, well, why? And, I knew I didn't want to be this big heavyweight guy the rest of my life. Number one, I looked at myself like an athlete. I wanted to be agile and I wanted to be able to go. And, it was the whole sport combined, making the weight. And, it wasn't about making the weight. If you wrestlers never thought if you thought the goal was just to make weight, that was the first way to not do very well.
Right.
But it was just part of what went with it. But what it taught you about the commitment, the way you had to commit yourself year round to be ready for that. And, a lot of the same things we learn in self-development is, repetition's a skill to mastery. I mean, you can't go out on a wrestling mat and compete with somebody if you haven't done a move thousands and thousands and thousands of times. I remember the one summer it was like I needed to get better on my feet. And, I installed a dummy on the wall in the basement, the Atom dummy, as you know it.
Yeah, of course.
Any wrestler out there knows what we're talking about. And literally, I took 14,800 shots on that thing in a summer. I never went to bed any night without doing 200 shots on it, in addition to whatever practice I did, because repetition is a skill to mastery. So many of those lessons in wrestling show up in personal development life. But just, I would say, overall, the commitment and the work ethic, that if you put in the work, things happen.
Yeah.
The thing is, you just need to put in the work. And I think so many people nowadays are what I see people struggling with a lot of times, and people ask me, what about this? What about that? I'm like, you got to work hard and be patient. Like, it doesn't mean you work hard for a year and everything happens. Different things will pop at different times. I always tell people there's sometimes a lag time. You can be putting in all the work. You can be doing everything right. You can be reading the right books, listening to the right audios, doing everything, and something isn't happening. And that's where most people quit, and they go, it didn't work. And, it's just that old adage that you got to get in line and stay in line nowadays. I think so many people are used to it just instantly happening for them.
Right.
And, in wrestling, it was the same way. I wasn't good right away. It was my worst sport. And that taught me something, that if I put the work in, I went from being the worst guy to the best guy in the school. And I hadn't peaked in high school. I didn't even win a state title. And when I went on to college, it was just like I was still so hungry because I lost in the semis in the state high school, that it was like, no, I want to win it. And even in college, I ended up second, not first. And I still get to watch Daniel Cormier every day remind me that he was the guy that beat me because he can't get over it. You're like,
UFC champion
Daniel, quit being on TV. If you just quit winning the title, I could forget about losing the national title.
You know what? That's what's going to keep you hungry, though. And like you said, yeah, the day you plant the seed isn't the day that you reap the fruit, right?
Yes.
So I think that's a great reminder for most people, is that it's about the process and you have to do what you love to get those reps in, right? Because wrestling, I know, it kind of sucks you in, and it's like this. You just get hungry for it, and if you don't have that for whatever you're doing, you're not going to succeed.
Yeah, and that's what I see people trying to find something they can do to make money. And, some people go, oh, it isn't like Steve Jobs says, just do what you love and everything will take care of itself. No, you got to be hungry, but, there's going to be things you need to do that whatever you love to do, there's going to be aspects of it you don't love. And you just got to find what you love in everything you do. That you need to have a hunger. Anybody I know is successful that I look up to, I know you and I sharing it, there's just a hunger. There's just a wavering hunger all the time to go do more and become more and give more.
And at the same time, balancing that, being happy and satisfied in the moment to an extent, while pushing to be hungry, which, definitely is an art and a balance. that I know you as a family man and a businessman, you strive to maintain that as well.
Yes, absolutely. You've got to, and one thing I've started doing is scheduling in the time. I'm like, well, how stupid. I would schedule, relax time and family time. And it's like, well, it's so true. If you don't schedule it, you can go through life and not get it. Yeah. So you've got to be conscious of that, of what things you need to balance your life, because, I always tell clients, they tell me their priorities. I'm like, great, show me your bank account and your schedule. Does your schedule and your bank account match those priorities? Because that's what truly tells you where you're spending your time and where you're spending your money as your priorities.
Yeah, so I've been doing personal development, I would say pretty much full time for about 2.5 years. And there's so many different rabbit holes to go down, right? And I'm working on a speech for next Tuesday. I got it from a week, and I have it mostly written out, but there's so many different things I could talk about. It's almost overwhelming, right? And I have it, now I got it buttoned down. But what for you is like, when you go to speak or you're working with people, what's your kind of like main message within all of that whole personal development envelope?
I would say it all has to start with mindset. I mean, I speak on many different things, whether it's leadership, whether it's sales, whether it's, building culture, but it all starts with the mind. And, one of the greatest things that I learned that I use with everybody is it's all about your state. It's how are you showing up? Are you showing up like a 10? So many people nowadays got caught in, I got to learn this, or I got to learn that, or I got to learn this, or I got to learn that. It doesn't matter what you're learning, what you're doing. If you're doing it as an 8 or a 9, you're wasting your time. Yeah. What's going to draw people in, what's going to get you to where you want to go is playing at a 10. Like if you're showing up like a 10, you can be missing on the technique and get a better result. But if you're showing up like a 7 with all the technique in the world, you're not going to, and this is true in any sport. Anybody on here listening, when you play a sport, you can have all the technique in the world. If you're going at a 7 and your opponent's going at a 10, you're going down, and you're going down quickly. And I think that's the number one thing that I pre-frame at the beginning of everywhere that I speak is, how are you showing up? On a scale of 0 to 10, how are you showing up? Anybody watching this live on 0 to 10, how are you showing up daily? And not just in self-development, but in everything, in your family, in your work, in your physical health, in your mental health, in your emotional health. Because how you do anything is how you do everything. You can't turn it on one day and then turn it off the next. We're not blinkers. We're not meant to be on, off. It's like, how are you showing up? I mean, I would say that was, if you can tell, I get a little intense about it. It's you got to be a 10 every day. You got to do that check and, manage your state and get to that every single day.
And most people don't even know what a 10 is, right? Like I remember before I went to UPW, I was like, yeah, I live in a pretty good state. I got it going on. And I went to the event and I experienced what it was like to be at a 10, and then everything shifted. And now when I'm not there, I feel it. I've experienced that level of 10. And I know the way that you see the entire world and the way you take action, the hesitation is gone from a level 10, right? And that's why state is so important, because hesitation kills everything.
And it doesn't mean, for people watching, it doesn't mean I'm a 10 all the time. They're like, well, we see you're on all the time. Yeah. But there are times that I'll drop. But what I mean is, if you don't do a self-inventory from time to time when your energy drops, you don't build that muscle. Now, I've gotten better at it because over the years, it's repetition is a skill to mastery. So don't get me wrong, guys. There's days I wake up, like I just got back, I was just in Fiji for 12 days. And then it's 38 hours of travel back. I was on stage for seven days, 12 to 14 hour days. You're up at 5, you're going to bed at 1 a.m. and you're repeating that for 7 days. Mm-hmm. Then you get on a flight home. You get home, you feel like you're twice your age, right? And so you got to do the recovery and the cryotherapy and the massage and the chiropractic, all that stuff to get back to state. So I apologize, my energy is a little low today. But there's times that you will feel like a 7, but you can change it that quick. The one thing I learned from Tony Robbins is, the triad he teaches, radically change your physiology, direct your focus, and attach strong language and meaning to it. And the biggest mistake that I see when people say they're feeling like a 7 or an 8 or a 6 or whatever is, and I'm sure this drives you nuts, is what number one thing that drives me nuts when I ask people how they're doing. They'll go good, and I'll be like, if you're doing good or okay, I'd rather you be doing crap or outstanding. Because
Yeah.
if you're in pain, you're going to take action. If you're in ecstasy, you're going to take action. You know, you take action out of inspiration or desperation. But when we say we're good or we're okay, it allows us to be in that comfort pot
Yes.
where we can cook ourselves to death, you know?
Yep.
And so that's why I think it's such a big thing.
I say my answer is fantastic and getting better every day.
Excellent. Because language matters, right? It's
language
those
is
three things, you know?
If people are in my world, they can just expect for me to correct their language, like, and not in like a judgment way, but like I just like I pick apart people's language because it's so important, and I know that every word they say will either move them closer to or farther away from their goals.
Absolutely. And you know, it's like the other day, you know, just how they all fit together too, the language, the physiology, the focus. You know, I always ask people, I'm like, you know, why are you not happy? And they go, I'm happy. And I'm like, you forgot to tell your face.
Right.
Like it all works together. If you smile, everybody on this live smile right now and try and be negative. It doesn't work. Like your physiology is so linked to your body and your mind. You know, you always hear mind, body, spirit. People don't realize it's so linked that if you're chest up, shoulders back, you're more confident. If everybody says, oh, get depressed, everybody's going to look down, roll their shoulders forward and put their chest in and think about something negative. If you say get confident, almost everybody's just going to stand up, and that's going to fix it right there.
So one of my favorite concepts is this idea of congruence, right? Where our language matches our body language, matches our focus, and everything is congruent. And being around you, I can see, you know, I've seen that you're one of the most congruent guys I know. Just your energy, like it's very apparent, and there's no like, you know, you like saying you're happy and frowning, right? That's incongruent. And watching you're so congruent, and I know that's not on accident, right? Tell me about some of your rituals to make sure that you're in that state and everything is aligned the way that you want it to be.
Yeah, just let everybody know. I'm not perfect, though. There's still days that I'll lose my shit or drop a little bit in energy. But, you know, you like you said, you strive. I mean, I look at the people that I respect most, and they're congruent individuals. They are being who they say they are. And, I believe that's a lot, like I said earlier, how you do anything is how you do everything. And the rituals, I mean, you know, the morning things that I do, you know, I don't get out of bed until I think about 3 things I'm grateful for. Sometimes you get people that give you these rituals that are, you know, they got a list of 20 things they do daily. That's horse crap, guys. I'm just going to tell you the truth. Like, if you can pick, like, I just did a video for my group the other day that said, if you start your day with 3 things, you know, I always tell people, remember this, 1, 2, 3, many. You know, if you get much more than 3, you start forgetting things. So if you chunk things into 3s, and what are those 3 things you're going to do when you wake up? So as I talk about mine, ask yourself, how are you going to start and finish your day? You know, because if you think about it, even a speaker, and I'll tell you a secret of being a speaker, if you start really well and you finish really well, nobody really cares what happened in between those 2 things. If you're given a 90-minute keynote and you explode in the start, and you explode at the end, they forget what was in the middle. They're like, wow, he's amazing. But you can talk about anything you want in the middle, and if you start poorly and you end poorly, you're a poor speaker. Yeah. And so it's the same thing for our day, guys. You got to set the tone. And so when I wake up, I don't get out of bed till, if I'm at home, I love to snuggle my wife and just think about 3 things I'm grateful for. Just simple. They could be, you know, it's whatever comes to mind. I don't judge them. It's just like, what are 3 things I'm grateful for? Then I get up, I rebound, and I prime. And those 3 things always happen. Like there's never a time that those don't happen. And now I'll do a lot more than that, right? I'll do new calm meditation. I'll go work out right away in the morning. I'll do other things as well. But those 3 things never change because I can control those wherever I'm at in the world. People go, what if you don't have a rebounder with you? I jump up and down for a couple minutes. Like it's a little more work, but it's still the same thing, right? You know, just pretend you're jumping a rope without the rope if you don't have it. And it just sets the tone for the day right away. And here's where it's most important. Most people get caught in going, well, what are my rituals? And they only do them on the days they feel like it. You know, it's just, when I was in Fiji, the colon hydrotherapist there was going, well, Luke, you know, what about the days you don't feel like it? Do you take those off? I'm like, no. Like, if I don't feel like going to the gym, I'll make that decision from the gym. Like, I'll go to the gym because I don't believe in making that decision from your bed. Your bed's usually going to tell you, oh, I need to rest. But if I go to the gym and I get on and I go, oh, my body is really hurting. Okay, maybe today's a recovery day. I'll do some light cardio, stretch, foam roll, and go get a massage or do chiropractic. Great, but that's a conscious decision.
Right.
You need to make your decisions from a quality state. When you're laying in bed, that's not the quality state you want to be making your decisions from.
Yeah.
So that's I would encourage everybody on here, just pick 3 things you're going to do every morning. Don't make it complicated. Pick easy things. And when you get momentum, then you can start developing a more complex start to your day. But then I also tell people, how are you ending it as well, which is just important, because nowadays, it's easy for people to turn on the mindless television, keep it up with the Kardashians or whatever, and saying, oh, people always tell me, oh, I want to veg out and watch TV, or they're scrolling somebody else's life on Facebook and falling asleep like that. So what are the 3 ways you're ending your night as well? And, and my simple ones for that are, listen to something or read something good, just try and get some time to yourself and just focus on breathing. And then I fall to bed with the thing of, I think of 3 things I'm grateful for and what are my 3 intentions for the next day.
Yeah, I love it. And my routines are very similar in that way. Meditation morning and evening. I do my incantations on the rebounder with some Native American tribal war drums going to get me all
awesome,
get me all fired up. So yeah, and those are, because when you start your day like that, you put yourself into that energetic resonance, right? And it just carries it carries through your whole day. And you see, just like at the events, you see everything in your life differently from that perspective. So I love that. All right, Luke, share a couple projects or where people can find you and learn more about you.
Well, you can look me up on Facebook, Luke Wren, W-R-E-N. Also, one of my latest things is, Nick, not everybody can afford a one-to-one coach, and I know that's why you do these lives as well. As I have a coaching group where I give people everything I got, the coaching system, any program I get, and everything I do, they get digitally for life right now for being a founding member for $47 a month. That's LukeWren.com, just Luke, L-U-K-E-W-R-E-N, results.com. They can go there, check it out. And the one thing I offer is a 10-time money-back guarantee, that if they don't get 10 times the value they pay, they just send an email, they get their money back. There's no locking them into, length of time, because I believe you earn people's business day after day, month after month, not lock them in. And so that's one thing I'm really excited about. We're launching a rebounder company this month because, as you know, I believe in rebounding, and I'm sick of overpaying or having a rebounder that's not the quality that I'd like. So we designed our own, and we're launching that with my two partners this month as well.
I'm half your size. I'm half your size, so I probably go through a lot less rebounders than you do.
I don't wear them out, but either some make noise, or then you get the bouncy one, the band ones, and then you can bottom them out, and they take too long to rebound you, and different things like that. Otherwise, people can touch. Probably the one that I stay most personally connected with people is on Facebook and Instagram. Instagram, I'm just Luke_Wren. No, just very blessed to be able to do what we do, and I know that you feel the same way, as to be able to help people step up in their lives and really step into their greatness. Because so many people look at other people and they think this person's got that or that person's got that. And, the message I'd tell all of you is we're all built for greatness. And those imperfections or mistakes you made, those are the things that make us who we are. None of us are the same. So just realize that you're meant for greatness, and we all have a purpose here on the planet Earth. And it's a very short time we're here. So step into that greatness, discover it, and get after it. Don't worry about what people think. They're not going to pay your bills. They're not going to live your life. You are. So, put your blinders on and go after what you believe.
Beautiful. So I always say that one conversation can change your life, right? I just believe that one little distinction can do it. And I know you're the guy that can bring that to people. And just watching you, I've gotten distinctions just being an observer, which is amazing. Last thing, if there was a single personal development event that shifted everything for you, or an experience, what was the most impactful event for you?
I think it was that very first UPW. Getting over that story that for 10 years, hey, I'm doing great, but I wasn't outstanding, fantastic, amazing, to say for 10 years, like, oh, I don't need that event. And what that event did is it put me there, and it goes, wow, the proximity. There's people like me, because in my town, I don't know if you can probably relate. Most people go, yo, you drink the Kool-Aid. Oh yeah, here comes the self-help guy. Oh, here comes the energy guy or whatever. And you get around proximity. And I think that's a great way, a good last lesson for everybody is it doesn't matter how many books you read, how many audios you read, what your intent is. You become the people you spend time with. It was like when Nick and I connected up, we've stayed in touch ever since, because you can feel when you meet somebody is hungry, is driven, is moving in the same direction as you, really wanting to add value to people. And you connect with those people and stay close to them. And I think, most people go, well, how do I get in that proximity? I don't want to leave the friends I have. You don't have to leave the friends you have. But I'm sorry, I divorced my negative friends. Like if somebody's negative, you got to say, hey, either you're going to get positive or we're going to end this relationship. Like that's it. Because if you hang around, think about when we're kids. If you were hanging around 4 kids getting in trouble, you were the 5th getting in trouble, right? Parents, literally, I moved schools in 9th grade due to proximity. And luckily my dad taught me that at a very young age. But you become the people you spend time with. So, what it did for me going to that first event, why it was that first one, everyone's sense has been just as impactful, because I look at it like the very first time, whether I'm teaching it or whether I'm showing up to it, I'm reviewing the notes. I'm still learning. I'm a student, right? Most people think, oh, you're the teacher, you're the coach. No, if you want to be a good coach, you know this. You got to be the best student every single day. I'm still learning and growing every single day, learning from every lesson life has to give me and every book I read. But get in proximity. And if there's somebody bringing you down, somebody not believing in you, it's time. When would now be a great time to not spend time with them? Get around people that believe in your goals, believe in you, believe you're put here for a great purpose, and want to support you. And run from the people that aren't.
Yeah, I love it. And I think when you are that example, those people that you spend less time with, they oftentimes are like, I want to know more about what you're doing. And they are motivated to change by your actions, right? From a distance. So you can keep growing. But, well, beautiful, Luke. It's been amazing hanging out. I got my, I think, 9th Tony Robbins event, UPW, coming up in a few weeks. I'm at Funnel Hacking Live right now, so I'm diving in full go.
Awesome. You're with Russell. You're going to have a blast.
Yep.
I would be there, but I got to go up to Whistler with Tony. Otherwise, it would have been at Funnel Hacking.
Gotcha. Well, I'm sure I'll run into you this year. It was great connecting. Thanks for adding so much value to your audience and my audience, and I hope to see you soon.
All right. Thanks so much, Nick. Appreciate it. Keep doing the great things you're doing.
You too, buddy. See you soon.
All right.